So it looks like we have some more people joining us again. I'm Ansley Sutter, the Social Media Training and Development Coordinator with ForRent Media Solutions. Today we'll talk about how you can place your residents and prospects first, some ways that you can do that if you're kind of running out of energy or fuel, of ways that you can do that. Last month we talked about different social media and tech trends that we can apply to a social media strategy for an apartment community. So we talked about ways that you can integrate Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, even Google Plus into your social media strategy. And today we'll be talking about ways you can place your residents and prospects first. As always, I love to make this as interactive as possible, so feel free to ask any questions you may have using the questions feature you have available to you. Either I or Brittany will address your question verbally or via a typed response. So either way, we'll get to you, so don't worry about that. Also, last month we tag teamed with the webinar with a Twitter chat and got some really great feedback with that. So if you're on Twitter right now, feel free to share your thoughts by including hashtag FRMS webinar. You see that on the right-hand side of your screen. I'll circle back with you after the webinar, so because I'll usually read the stream, I'll retweet and respond to your feedback after the webinar has taken place. So feel free to do that. I'd love to respond and interact with you there as well. You can also see our Twitter handle again in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. I will be speaking from my personal Twitter handle, which is Ansley Joe, and I usually toggle between the two. So either way, we'll get to you. So let's go ahead and get into what we're talking about today. So at certain times, you may hit a roadblock in your efforts to show your residents and prospects the priority of caring. It's definitely up there on the priority list, but sometimes it's hard to show because you're juggling so many different jobs. You may get super busy in the office, and often you're not only the property manager, you are the social media manager and possibly the maintenance person. So it kind of just depends on how big your scale is for your staff. Although your intentions are there, we know they're there, they may not be conveyed in the clearest of ways. So if your outreach efforts have become a bit stagnant, this session is really great for you to tune into. Today we'll be going over 5 principles of service, which are incentivizing, recognizing, apologizing to, publicizing, and customizing your audience's user experience with your brand. All very important things. You'll see that I'll be using examples of major brands that do a really great job of clearly conveying the care factor to their consumers. Also, I'll share some links of the things that I mentioned throughout the presentation. Brittany will share those with you either in real time or we'll get to those toward the end of the session. So what does your brand or apartment community do to create brand love? What is it about you that makes your residents want to renew their leases? Anyone can sell apartments, but what are you doing to enhance the user experience? Ultimately, we want love and positive reinforcement, and the same goes in the business and multifamily sector. Keep these questions at the forefront of your mind as you may find ways to answer them as we dig a little deeper. So ultimately, we want people to love us and our brand, not hate us. So what big brands come to mind when you think of customer service? What is customer service to you? I love the approach that Southwest and Zappos take on their view of customer service. Their business practices are primarily motivated by the simple principle of serving others. It's as simple as that. We've learned the golden rule, from the time we were in elementary school. Secondarily, though, they just happen to be in the airline and retail industry. So we're seeing a lot of businesses take this inside-out approach rather than outside-in. Most companies, form their stance and their principles on the product, the end product they provide. But more so, we're seeing that companies are looking from the inside out. What inside fuels the end product? So for Zappos and Southwest, the inside, which is that basic principle of service, fuels the end product, which again is providing retail services as well as airline services. So what motivates you to be in the multifamily housing industry? Ask yourself, when was the last time you even asked yourself that question? Why are you in this industry? What was the path you took to get here? Leasing apartments is a job that requires a good amount of interpersonal skills. So we all know that most people that work in our industry have to be able to deal with people, different types of people on a regular basis. You are representing your brand in almost every facet of your job. No matter what industry we're in, we're all in the customer service business at the end of the day. So I want to share this video with you. It's great because I love Zappos, and we have someone on our team that really kind of gave a great presentation on how Zappos integrates brand love into all the components of their business practices, and this is really applicable to our presentation today. So I want to share this quick video with you. Hopefully you can hear it from my screen, but we'll go ahead and play it.
Thank you for calling Zappos. How can I help you today?
So I have a little problem. I ordered a dress yesterday afternoon, and it showed up this morning.
Okay.
I'm not really emotionally ready for it yet, so I put it in the garage under a tarp.
Totally understand.
So can I send it back?
Yes, you can absolutely send it back. You will have to touch the box, though.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so this is why I wanted to share this video with you, because it drives the point home that customer service requires us to deal with situations sometimes outside of our job scope. This is an actual phone conversation between a Zappos customer service rep and a customer. So this happens all the time. Actually, Zappos has a great stance where they don't have an average call time. Anyone who calls into their customer service line can speak with the customer service rep for as long as they want. Actually, the longest recorded conversation was 8 hours and 3 minutes long. So you see that Zappos isn't about turnover. They're more about establishing relationships, because sure, within that 8 hour and 3 minute span, they could have gotten an incredible amount of sales done. But because that customer service rep took 8 hours, pretty much their whole entire shift, to talk to this one person who didn't even end up buying shoes, they still ended up making that person a brand ambassador more so than a one-time customer. So trying to apply this to our industry, one day you may be closing a lease. Perfect, that's definitely within your job scope. Closing leases, giving tours, all that stuff, we know how to do that. But the next day, you may be having to pacify an extremely particular resident or prospect, which, playing Dr. Phil is not always in our job scope, but sometimes, as you know, within your job responsibilities, that may have to take place. So really just kind of going above and beyond really shows your residents and prospects that you care. Another important component of the customer experience is making a lasting impression. The attention span of consumers is growing shorter and shorter by the day, so brands like the ones you see here are finding new ways to leave an impact. So the first principle of customer service I want to touch on is the incentive factor. Incentives are the low-hanging fruit that either grab the attention of a consumer and reward that consumer for their brand loyalty, or, for example, Virgin Mobile or Virgin Airlines will randomly allow first priority boarding for passengers wearing red. Just, it doesn't happen on a normal basis, but it happens from time to time. So although this perk is not highly publicized, the word of mouth factor does enough promotion for that. So when it comes to consumer needs, most want some sort of discount or price break. That goes without saying. So running a promotion at your community could be a great way to reward prospects and residents. Maybe cutting them a deal or grandfathering them in also makes them feel a little bit more VIP or elite, and that's rewarding them for the amount of time they've lived at your community. Consumers also show more loyalty when their experience is customized. This is a call to action for you guys to do something as simple as learning the first names of the faces that you see come in and out of your office. I know that some of your communities get a high level of traffic because you may have multiple units, but at least try to learn a few names every day. You'll be surprised as to how much of a barrier is broken when someone notices you know them by their first name. So once brand loyalty is established with the help of incentives, the word of mouth and word of mouse factor, we've spoken about word of mouse factor previously, really just exponentially grows. The smart brands are finding ways to leverage that free advertising by creating places where consumers can share their stories on company-powered forums. We're seeing this happen with the Toyota Camry, where Camry owners can give nostalgic accounts of how their cars really just kind of play into their life story, and they're a part of their life story. And for the most part, you'll see Camry owners buy more than one Camry because it's not a car anymore. It's definitely part of their life. And we want companies like that to show that. Southwest is doing the same thing where they have a forum called Nuts About Southwest where people can share their accounts of their experience with Southwest. We're also seeing companies retweet and comment on tweets and Facebook posts of customers sharing their first-time experiences. And I referenced Amanda McCrowell before. This is Amanda and her first account of eating at Shake Shack, and she was elated. She actually obviously she took a picture of her experience and she tweeted about it as well as sharing it on Instagram. So you'll be surprised as to how many people will note and share their first impression and their first account of a brand. So just keep that in mind, because when you come into contact with prospects, it might be the end of the day and you may be tired and you may just have to give one more tour, but that one more tour could turn into a lifelong resident at your community. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So for you expert level customers, the recommendations app is a great way for you to collect positive comments posted by your residents and fans. So definitely use that app that we have installed on your Facebook business page if you're expert level. What we're also seeing is brands incentivize consumers by offering either a reward or status boost when the consumer has checked into that location via their mobile device. What this does is it heightens the brand visibility, because all of that consumer's network can see that activity. If a resident checks into your property on Foursquare, they receive a status upgrade based on the amount of times they've checked in, which promotes healthy competition amongst residents, and what also does is it promotes loyalty. Now, if some of you aren't familiar with check-ins, I'll share a link with you on how you can use the check-in feature for your business at the end of the session. Also, that's just another great way that you can use a tool to advertise or promote your brand without having to spend money. Before we get into the next principle of customer service, let me know if you have any questions by typing in through the questions box. I and Brittany are here to help you answer any questions, but if you don't have any questions, that's perfectly fine. I'll just go ahead and truck ahead. So everyone loves a shout out and a pat on the back. Recognition is not only empowering, but it's a great way to turn your residents into brand ambassadors. Now, most residents love to reciprocate and share the love, which gives your community free exposure, again, and heightens visibility. So one way to recognize your residents and prospects is by simply connecting with them on the relative social networks. With the multitude of networks, we've developed a great new reputation monitoring feature, which will be available for you expert customers out there. So be on the lookout for that, as we'll be rolling that out very, very soon. We're super excited about it. What it does, it allows you to pretty much monitor everything that's being said about your brand through one dashboard on various social networks. So again, be on the lookout for that. So how many of you are featuring a fan of the week on your Facebook timeline? What type of reward are you presenting if you are featuring a fan of the week? Now, oftentimes the attention and recognition is simply enough. If you see in this example, this is Zenny Optical, and it's a company that's an online eyewear retailer. I personally use this service to fill my prescriptions and provide lenses and frames for a fraction of the price it would cost elsewhere. And so what they do is they feature a fan of the week wearing their glasses. So this is self-promotion, but it's also recognizing the people that are their brand ambassadors and their customers. And this is a submission style fan of the week, so you actually, any type of customers that want to be featured have to submit their photo. So they do all the work for you. All you do is have to select, all they have to do is select the photo of the fan they want to feature, and they get that little bit of recognition. So just that little kind of pat on the back, thank you for endorsing our brand and thank you for using our brand, might just be enough. So many of you may see someone comment on your timeline. Maybe you've posted a status or a post on your Facebook timeline, and you see someone comment on that, like you see in this example here on our ForRent.com B2C page. So do you usually respond, or do you just let that comment sit there? What do you do most of the time? So what you don't want to do is you don't want to miss the opportunity to let that person know that you see their participation. If you are posting something on your timeline, if you're using the Marketplace Network 2.0 post and leak dashboard or auto post feature to post to your Facebook page, you still want to go to your page and see if people are liking and commenting on that post, because that's where you want to engage with your fans, residents, and prospects. You simply, if you want to respond to someone who's left a comment, you simply can use the @ symbol to mention them in the comment, and they'll be notified, and that's where engagement is made. So you see here in this example, this person posted earlier at 3 o'clock on September 12th. They asked what do you have to do to win? And so what we did is we just literally clicked the @ symbol and started typing in the first few letters, and their name populated. So that's what will happen. As long as there's someone who has liked your page, their name will populate if they have commented previously within that post. So just keep that in mind so you can reciprocate the conversation with your people that have liked your page. Ultimately, you never want to miss out on the chance to connect with your fans in any facet. Now, I know some of you are thinking that the act of apologizing shows a sign of weakness, but on the contrary, it actually boosts brand loyalty. In the simplest of forms, brands, just like people, have flaws. Maybe it's an email that slipped through the cracks and was never answered. Maybe it's the time you gave a tour and you walked in on what you thought was a vacant apartment. Trust me, it has happened. So more brands are finding that sticking their heads in the sand will only hurt and not help them. Take it from brands like these, for example. MailChimp sent an email to all of its customers letting them know that there was some technical difficulty. Putting myself maybe in this customer's shoe, I'd respect the brand all the more if they came out and told me there was an issue rather than finding it myself with no explanation. And again, Avis takes on the underdog approach with the tagline, "We try harder." How's that for humanizing your brand? Ultimately, your consumers are, at the end of the day, still talking to a person or people. You are only going to just be a Facebook admin for your brand. At the end of the day, you're still a person talking to another person. And a brand is made up of people who are promoting to other people. So please, try to incorporate that human aspect to your brand. If you are a little bit more corporate, that's completely fine. We're definitely on that end, but there's different avenues and ways that you can connect with your brand ambassadors and still be authentic and human. So again, next thing we'll talk about is how you can publicize, different ways that people and brands are using public avenues as a means to connect with their audience. So cause-related and integrity-driven marketing are ways brands are publicizing their societal stance. Brands like Target do a great job of making customers play a significant role in doing good in its various campaigns. They want their customers to know that, hey, you were a part of why we've donated over $324 million to schools since 1997. Also, Chipotle does a great way of sharing why the company chooses to use certain ingredients to reduce their carbon footprint. Kohl's Cares is another campaign that just kind of shows you how much of a percentage is going to certain organizations like health and education. So again, cause-related marketing is really, really big right now. Again, here are a few more examples of brands that don't only care about their consumers, but answer a philanthropic call to action. Tide's Loads of Laundry is a beloved campaign that goes around the country washing clothes for those who, for whatever reason, don't have the resources to do it themselves. You may have seen this initiative highlighted when Hurricane Katrina hit. I can guarantee you that more people used Tide once they saw the work they were doing. So what this does is it not only shows that you're doing some social good, but it also promotes your brand without being too self-serving. And ultimately, it's not all about you, it's all about them. One community took this approach and took this principle and rallied a group of residents to form a team for the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure against breast cancer. So this is something really simple. I know that every city has a race for the cure, and they have multiple races actually. So this is one way that you can rally residents at your community that support this cause, that want to do something about it, and you guys can form a team. And what that does is, again, it shows that you're doing some type of social good. So lastly, the fifth principle I want to talk about is how you can customize your user experience for your brand ambassadors. What you want to do is just adopt the idea that you're not selling apartments. You're not just selling apartments. You're selling a lifestyle. Attention to detail and customizing your prospect's experience is vital to winning business and retaining residents. So what you want to do is you want to appeal to the senses. If you have one, make sure the clubhouse is smelling great and appears clean. If you can, bake fresh cookies and offer them to prospects as a thank you after touring your community. What you also can do is just maintain at all times a concierge-like mentality and surpass your residents' expectations. Again, it's all about the experience. People are willing to, according to statistics, people are willing to pay more if they know they will be experiencing optimal service. Now, I can attest to this because I am and will forever be a lifelong tried and true Nordstrom customer. Why? Well, I could go into any department store that I want, really. It's not really the clothes. It's more so the fact that Nordstrom goes above and beyond in every way possible. So here's one of several conversations I've had with the brand where pretty much I was looking for a dress. I could not find it in any of the stores, but I found the link. The link was expired, so I couldn't buy it online. So I reached out to Nordstrom's Twitter handle to see if they could help me find it. So immediately they reached back out to me and said they were happy to research the item and they would direct message me once they had an update. I responded to them with the name of the dress, the item number, and told them that I saw it was on sale at Nordstrom Rack the last time I checked. And they asked me what size I was. I'm not going to share that with you today. And then immediately after that, they told me that they found the dress. They told me that they had went ahead and put it on hold for me at their flagship store, and I had to call and confirm that they did that with the sales rep, and then they mailed it to me. So again, this was all done through Twitter. Mind you, I didn't even have to talk to anyone over the phone. They actually went ahead and mailed it to me. And it was great. It was a great transaction. It was super, super easy. And you see that my answer, I really appreciate it. I can't reiterate how great Nordstrom's branding and customer service is. So, I mean, for you, if this were to happen to you, and if a prospect or a resident were to react to maybe like a maintenance request that was responded to with due diligence, how would that make you feel? I think you would feel pretty good about it, right? I think that what this does is just kind of reinforces that brand ambassador, that loyalty. You're recognizing them, you're customizing the experience for them, you are just being completely transparent, and this is a really great example of how you can apply this to your everyday effort. So please take it seriously when someone puts a maintenance request or comes to your clubhouse or your office and asks for something. Remember that word of mouth is extremely potent, and it moves exponentially. And if they have a great customer experience, if they know that you care about them, if they feel like you're putting them first, placing them first, they're going to tell people about it. So that's just doing advertising for you for free. So with that being said, I have some ignition points for you as to how you can use this and apply this to your everyday practices. So what you see here these are Zappos 10 family core values. This is what the company makes all of their customer service people and their entire staff memorize. They have to recite it on a regular basis, and they have to incorporate it in their everyday routine. So what I want you to do today is I want you to apply at least 2 of them to your business practices. So I'll share all the links with you I referred to earlier, but just take a once over on all of these. Pick 2 that you think, okay, I could do this or incorporate these in the next week, and apply those. So these takeaways I have for you, Brittany will share them with you, but they're just all of the things I went over. Now, the first point is I'm not sure if you're relative with Jonathan Sars, but he's a great person in the multifamily housing industry. He has some great blog posts that he puts out there. He runs the Training Factor, which is a great resource for us in the multifamily housing industry. And I talked to you a little bit about Foursquare earlier today, and this is a link that to a blog post he wrote about how you can utilize Foursquare for your business practices at your apartment community. So we'll share that link with you. We'll also share how you can claim your venue. So if you are on Foursquare, or if you do want to be present on Foursquare because you want your residents and prospects to check into your community, you have to claim your venue. So these are directions as to how you can do that. The next link is how you can utilize Facebook check-ins for your business practices. So not only can your residents and prospects check into Foursquare, they'll be able to check into Facebook. So this is just a kind of like a website. It's a link straight to Facebook as to how you can use check-in deals for your business. The next link is a way that you can read this PDF, which pretty much gives you step-by-step directions on how you can do that as well. And again, lastly is Zappos core values, which we just looked over. Please look at that because it links out to every single core value and explains why they have that core value put in place. So again, these are all pretty relative links, resources that you can utilize within the next few weeks until we talk again next month. So at this point, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. If not, I'll see you on Twitter. I'll be there. You can, again, share any feedback you had on today's session using hashtag FRMSwebinar. And I will visit Twitter shortly and kind of recap any points that you may have missed or any feedback or anything like that you wanted to share but didn't have a chance to today. I'll be on Twitter following this webinar, and I will be happy to talk to you there. So to wrap things up, I appreciate your time. I hope you really got something out of this as to what things you can do to put and place your residents and prospects first. So on behalf of ForRent Media Solutions, have a great day. You're free to go. I really appreciate your time. Take care, everyone.